Hello creators, thank you for joining me again today. Today we're going to be going over how to draw this flower with very basic simple shapes and very basic shading techniques. So I hope that you continue to join me as we go over this wonderful exercise coming up next. Alright, so like I said, today we're going to go over how to draw a simple flower using the basic shapes that we've already gone over in previous videos. I don't know the name of the flower. I'm not a botanist, but I hope that you have fun. So to start off with, we're going to ghost in an ellipse. Now my line might be a little bit darker than yours. I'm doing it for the camera, so just bear with me. You don't have to make it this dark. Like I said, mine's just for the camera. Alright, so that's going to be the top of the flower, like the opening of the flower, right? So now we're going to construct a kind of like a tapered cylinder. Alright, because that's where like all the little inside bits of the flower go, kind of like a cup, right? Let me just straighten up this line a little bit right there. So at the bottom, it's going to come down kind of like a cylinder. So we've got an ellipse and a cylinder, right? So now we need to kind of open it up a little bit in the front here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around here, and then we're going to make a little, kind of like a little fold in the flower and the petal. Don't worry about overlapping your ghosted lines, because we can always go in and darken them up a little bit. And then we're just going to do the same thing on this side. Go around, and come down like that, right? So hopefully now you can kind of see the flower taking shape like that. So now we have the outside of the flower, all the little petals on the outside of the flower, and now we have the inside. So now we need to draw that little piece that comes up. If anybody knows what it's called, leave it in the comments. I like to be educated. Now we're going to come around here and kind of darken this up, kind of solidify our form a little bit, help us to visualize a little bit more. And do the same thing with that inside. That's where it's going to kind of start to curve up onto the outer part of the flower. Oh, by the way, today I'm just using a charcoal pencil. I think it's called Mary's. Yeah, Mary's hard charcoal. All right, anyway, let's get back to the drawing. All right, so now we need to draw that little. I don't know what it's called. Like I said, I'm not a botanist. But it pokes out of the flower like that, right? So that's looking fairly decent for a flower. It'll look better once we get our shading in, right? So right now already we've got a couple principles going on here. We've got size. So the top of this is smaller than this, the bottom. So that kind of tells us that the flower is pointing towards us in space, right? And we've got overlap. These outside petals are overlapping the centerpiece. So that tells us that this centerpiece is behind all of this. Go ahead and bring that down, make it look more like a petal. All right. So let me find my eraser, and we'll erase this construction line here. All right. We could probably erase some of this other one too. Most flowers don't curve that hard. Just a little bit on the sides to show that, just to kind of indicate some of the form right in here. So let's bring this down like that. All right, and now we can start to shade our flower a little bit. So the inside part of this flower is going to be darker than the outside portion, correct? Because it's behind and inside all of this other stuff. So what we can do is go in and shade it a little bit. Make it pretty dark, because say our light source is kind of behind it a little bit, right? It's going to come down. You're going to get pretty good light up here where the light's still hitting, but as you curve down into that form, it's going to get really, really dark. Now, just like last week's video, this is going to be a shout out to all my students at Archway, my Archway class. I know that classes have been canceled because of this virus going around, so I'm going to try to keep them updated and try to keep their classes going a little bit, the best I can anyway, because they really enjoy my class, and I really want them to keep their interest in art and drawing as much as they can. So saying all that, kids, I hope that you've been practicing, and whenever classes start back again, I would love to see some of the work that you've been doing. I would love to see all the practice that y'all been doing, because I really enjoy teaching you guys. And we'll even put a little bit of shading right here too. Not really, really dark, but kind of dark. Now, I'm not a professional artist, but I enjoy drawing, and I hope to instill a passion for drawing in others, especially children, because I feel that once you become an adult, it's hard to get that childlike mentality when it comes to drawing and artwork. So bring this form around here, kind of like it's curving over. It looks more like a tuba or something, but that's fine. Maybe that's what we're going for. Well, no, I've already told you we're going for a flower. We'll fix it. It's fine. I'll show you how to fix a couple mistakes. So like right here, it's a little too boxy for a flower. So we'll bring it down like that, curve it off. So it's kind of like a cylinder, and the bottom is a sphere, kind of. We draw a line right here. Kind of goes from a cylinder into a sphere. So let's erase that line right there. It looks a little bit better. Something else we need to do is, this flower isn't perfectly round on the top. It kind of has like a little protrusion right there. Bring it around like that. It's looking pretty good so far. kind of even out some of this shading right here. Make it a little bit smoother. Alright, that looks pretty good for the inside. For now, anyway. Let's keep going. Let's clean this up just a little bit. I kind of got a lot going on right here and right here. Right here. Let's get rid of this little construction line. Remember, you can use as many construction lines as you need to get down the form that you want. Just when you do it, make sure it's a really light line. I don't even know if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Make it just a really light line. That way, it'll erase fairly easily. Now, this particular charcoal doesn't erase very well. We'll keep going. Alright, so and we'll actually curve this line a little bit more. There we go. So like I said, if our light source is coming from this way, kind of behind the flower, right? When we come around these petals, this petal is actually overlapping this section of the flower. So it's going to have a little cast shadow. Bring that out a little bit more. So it's going to have a little cast shadow coming down off of it. And the same thing over here. Just a little cast shadow. And we'll bring this down a little bit more. Kind of like the leaves are like opening up like a book. Oh, over here. Kind of like the leaves are opening up like a book like that, right? Alright, as we continue, we said that this is kind of like a cylinder, this section right here, right? You probably can't see that. But so we need to shade it similar to a cylinder, right? So a cylinder, if you remember, if our light source is coming this way, all of our shade is going to be on this side, right? Or all of our shadowing is going to be on this side, and then it's going to get lighter as it comes across that form. So I've actually probably got this section a little too dark. Let's see if we can blend it out a little bit. A little bit. Kind of like that. So we're going to do the same thing over here. And I actually should have made the light source come from this way, but the same principle applies. So we're going to go pretty dark right here. And then maybe this light source is actually from this direction. How about that? This is our light source. And something that might help you is when you're shading, let's see if I can get my hand right. There we go. Shade along the form, following that form. It's just a really long stroke. Right? And just continue to shade it out. And if it helps, you can shade in little circular motions. Help develop some of those contour lines to help describe the form a little bit more, and then blend them in. And actually, I think while I'm looking at it, I think we have this edge right here just a little too harsh, and this one as well. It's just a little too harsh for what we're trying to do here. I might not be able to get it off. If you're drawing at home, I really suggest one of these. It's a kneaded eraser. It's kind of like putty. You can form it around in your hands and mold it, and when you get little dirty bits, you can just keep on folding it in on itself. Kind of like pizza dough. You guys ever made pizza? I love making pizza with the kids. But you can just now it's mostly clean, right? And if you need a little break from drawing, you can break off a piece, and then you can fiddle with it and mold it and make little sculptures out of it while you're taking a little break for your brain. Maybe you have artist block or something, and you can just fiddle around with it. That's always fun too. But anyway, let's get back. Getting sidetracked. Alright, so let's kind of soften up some of this other stuff. Some of this other shading, because it's looking kind of harsh. I feel like we've got some good form, but some of our shading is a little too rough. So we'll go back in there and darken some spots up. Darken some areas. Try to shade some of it out. I think it looks pretty good so far. I think right in here is missing something. So let's look at our light source. So light source is coming down, and our petal is going to be curling up right here. So let's just draw in a soft line right here. A soft line there. It's still missing something. Maybe just a little bit of shadow right here. Just a little bit, not a whole lot, because our light source is still coming this way. Darken this line up a little bit if we can. Kind of make it line kind of bold, this one as well. Now as you're drawing, if you noticed on mine, when we started, it looked like a whole bunch of shapes kind of mushed together, right? Kind of blah, 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 blah. But after you add your shading, kind of develop that a little bit, it starts to look a little bit more constructed, a little bit more solid. Let's darken this up just a little bit, since it is down in that flower. And right down here, as that form turns away from the light, it is just going to get just the slightest bit of shadow. So that's looking pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. So I had to make this shadow just a little bit darker. Maybe this one just a little bit darker. Alright. And now we're going to start on the stem. I didn't leave much room for the stem, but so for the stem's pretty simple, right? We're gonna come off this way, and then come off this way just a little bit like that. See if I can adjust my camera a little bit to get that a little bit better. I think that's about as good as this gonna get. All right, so our light source is coming from this way. So the shading for this is going to be pretty simple since it's a really small area of the drawing. Because that's basically a long cylinder, long thin cylinder. So this is basically what we're doing. Right? Now for the leaf, I haven't done a video on this, but my class should remember when we went over the scrolls, right? We done a little lesson on using cylinders as scrolls. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply the same principle to this leaf. So you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. So we're going to draw the leaf. It's going to come up like this. And then it's going to go down and come back up. Okay, and we're going to stop it right there for a second. And then we're going to come back down like that. And then bring it back to the flower. Now this is the part that's going to make it look like the leaf is turning like that in space. Right? It's going to curl around. It already looks pretty cool as it is, but this is just going to make it just a little bit more 3D. So we're going to bring this edge, we're going to bring it up like that, and then we're just going to bring it down like that. Right? And now, when we shade our leaf, same thing. The light's coming down from this way. So our shading is going to be mostly on this side of the flower. It's going to be really dark right here. And then we're going to bring that out just a little bit to give it a little bit of form. We're just going to blend it out a little bit. The hard charcoal is a little bit harder to blend because it doesn't break up as much on the paper. But you work at it, it'll get there eventually. We're going to make it just a little bit thicker up here, like that. It's kind of weird. But make the top of the stem pretty dark because it's sitting underneath that flower. Alright, and I'm gonna go up here as like a little review. So when we started off with a cylinder, a pretty open cylinder, right? A pretty open cylinder, and then we made a tapered cylinder, right? These are our basic shapes that we've been using. And then for the stem, we kind of came down here. We made another little cylinder. Right? And we pretty much made this a, what's it called, a hollow cylinder. So we brought it around like that, and now it's hollow. So we pretty much made a hollow cylinder and an ellipse to make a very basic flower, very simple flower, but I had fun, and I hope that you did too. Let's shade this in some more while I'm looking at it. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this exercise, and I hope that you learn how you can use very basic shapes and very basic shading principles to construct something pretty three-dimensional looking. You know, with more time and more effort and more exercise, you can get even better than this. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you'd like to see coming up next. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you next time. God bless.